Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something that can change your life forever. Not just your studies, not just your job, but your entire future. Have you ever read something and forgot it the next day? Have you walked into a room and suddenly asked yourself, "Why am I here?" Have you ever tried to memorize someone's name, a phone number, a fact, or even an idea, and it just vanished? You felt angry at yourself. You said, "Why do I forget everything?" You blamed your brain. You blamed your memory. You said, "I'm not smart enough." But today, I'm here to tell you something very important. You are not the problem. Your memory is not broken. Your intelligence is not missing. Your brain is not weak. The only problem is, no one taught you how memory actually works. Nobody teaches us how to remember. We go through school, college, life, and still don't know how to train the most powerful machine in the universe, our brain. That ends today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to remember everything with simple, powerful, science-backed techniques that actually work. Techniques used by memory champions doctors, CEOs, scientists, students, and people like you who just want to take control of their mind. This video is not about tricks. It's not about shortcuts. It's about training your mind like a warrior, like a genius, to never forget what actually matters. So if you're tired of forgetting things, if you're tired of feeling behind, if you're tired of wasting time learning things again and again, this is for you. This video will also help improve your English, so stay till the end and don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Understand how memory works. Before we learn how to remember everything, we have to understand, what is memory? How does the brain decide what to keep and what to throw away? Let me tell you a truth that schools never teach. Memory is not a box in your brain. It's not a cupboard you open and take things out of. It's not a hard drive that stores facts. Instead, memory is a connection. Memory is an emotion. Memory is a survival tool. Your brain is asking only one question when it sees new information. Is this important enough to survive? That's why you remember. The time you were embarrassed in front of a crowd. The smell of your grandmother's kitchen. The lyrics to a song you heard in a heartbreak. The name of the person who broke your trust. The moment you saw a car accident. But you don't remember what you studied last night. A random date in history, a long phone number, your to-do list from 3 days ago. Why? Because your brain remembers what it feels, not what it reads. There are 3 stages of memory. 1. Encoding, taking in information. 2. Storage, keeping that information safe. 3. Retrieval, pulling it out when needed. But here's the catch. Most people never encode things properly. They just read, scroll, repeat, copy, highlight. But their brain never says, "This is important," and so the brain deletes it. Not because you're stupid, but because it thinks you're bored. That's right. Boring information is memory poison. Emotion equals memory glue. If something makes you feel something, see it in your mind, connect it to your life, then your brain locks it in. Otherwise, your brain says, delete, unimportant, forget. Let's say I tell you this sentence. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. You've heard it 20 times. But do you remember what it looks like? What it actually means? Why it matters? Probably not. Now imagine this. You're a tiny worker inside a cell. You're walking through tunnels. It's dark. And suddenly you enter a giant room, glowing with energy. There are machines spinning, sparks flying, This is the energy factory. You look up and see the sign. Welcome to mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell. You'll never forget it again. Because now it's not a fact. It's a story, a visual, an emotion. To remember everything, start by asking, am I connecting this to something in my life? Am I feeling something as I learn this? Am I building a visual, emotional, meaningful image? If the answer is no, you will forget. If the answer is yes, you are now training your brain. So from this moment forward, promise yourself, I will no longer just study. I will no longer just repeat. I will connect, feel, see, imagine, and live what I want to remember. Chapter 2. The Power of Active Recall. This is not a trick. This is not new, but it's the method used by toppers, memory champions, neuroscientists, Harvard students, and people who need to remember fast under pressure. So what is it? The problem with most people. They read something once, highlight it, reread it, watch a video, feel good, but they're not learning. They're recognizing, not recalling. That's like going to the gym, watching someone lift weights, and thinking you're getting stronger. You're not. It means forcing your brain to pull the information out, without help. You read about 5 ways to boost memory. Then you close the book and ask yourself, okay, what were the 5 ways? You try to write it down. You try to say it out loud. You try to teach it to someone. Your brain says, wait, I have to work? Yes, and that's how memory is made. Every time your brain works to recall something, it builds stronger connections. Let's say you're learning. The 4 stages of sleep are light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, awake. Don't just reread it. Instead, cover the page. Ask, what were those 4 stages? Try to write it. If you fail, that's good. Now check. Learn again. Test again tomorrow. Then in 3 days. Then in 7 days. That's called spaced repetition with active recall. We'll cover that fully in Chapter 6. Think of something you learned this week. Now pause this video and ask, what do I remember from it? Can I write it in 3 points? Can I explain it to a child? If you can't, you didn't learn it. You only read it. If you can, you've begun true learning. Every time you ask yourself a question, your brain turns on. So instead of writing notes like this, Memory Palace is a technique to remember. Write notes like this. What is a memory palace? How can I use it in real life? Why do memory champions use it? That's active recall in action. Chapter 3. Use the 3-2-1 memory rule. Now that you understand how memory works and you've started using active recall, it's time to bring structure into your practice. Most people try to memorize by writing notes again and again. But here's the truth. Too many notes confuse the brain. You don't need to write 10 pages of repetition. You need to lock the information in your brain in a smart way. That's where the 3-2-1 method comes in. It's simple, it's fast, and it's powerful. Here's how it works. Step 1. After learning something, write down 3 things you remember, in your own words. Step 2. Think of 2 examples from your real life that connect to what you just learned. Step 3. Write 1 short sentence that summarizes everything. Let me show you how it works in real time. Let's say you just learned about the concept of the memory palace. Now apply 3-2-1. 3 things you remember. It's a technique used by memory champions. You use imaginary locations like your house to place items. It works better when you visualize crazy, emotional images. 2 examples from your life. When you walk through your house in your mind, you can remember where things are. You can place your grocery list items in your bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. One sentence summary. The memory palace helps me remember things by turning them into images placed in familiar locations. That's it. In just 2 minutes, you've built a deeper memory than someone who rereads a textbook 10 times. Because now your brain isn't just receiving information, it's creating it. It's building connections between new knowledge and your life. This is how memory becomes permanent. And here's the deeper truth. When you use the 3-2-1 rule, you're training 3 different parts of your brain. Memory. What did I just learn? Creativity. How can I link this to my life? Clarity. How can I explain this in one sentence? That's why this method is so powerful, because the brain remembers what it understands, not what it memorizes. Let's take another example. You just learned about active recall. 3 things. Recall is more powerful than rereading. You must ask yourself questions. Failing to recall is part of the process. 2 examples. When I tried to recall a quote without looking, I remembered it faster later. Teaching a friend helped me remember it for weeks. 1 sentence. Active recall forces my brain to grow stronger through effort and failure. The 3-2-1 rule can be used for everything. Books, classes, podcasts, YouTube videos, or even real-life lessons. Use it daily. Because if you can break something down into 3 points, 2 personal examples, and 1 sentence, you'll never forget it again. You'll not only remember it, you'll be able to explain it, use it, and grow with it. That's real memory. That's real intelligence. Chapter 4. Make it visual and ridiculous. Here's something your school never told you. The brain doesn't love facts. The brain doesn't love logic. The brain doesn't even love language. Your brain is a visual and emotional machine. It loves what it can see. That's why we remember. A funny scene from a movie. The face of a person we met once. A dream we had years ago. A meme we saw last week. But we forget. A number. A list. A formula. A page of notes. Because the brain doesn't store data like a computer. It stores images. And the crazier the image, the stronger the memory. So here's the lesson. If you want to remember something boring, you must turn it into something ridiculous. Funny, wild, strange, emotional. Let me show you how. Let's say you need to remember this list. Eggs, bananas, toothpaste, soap, laptop charger. Now most people try to repeat it in their mind. Eggs, bananas, toothpaste, soap, charger. And they forget it within 5 minutes. But if you use the visual ridiculous method, your brain locks it in. Here's how. You close your eyes and imagine this story. You wake up, you open your fridge. Suddenly, a giant banana jumps out and slaps you in the face. You fall down, and instead of blood, egg yolks come out of your nose. You run to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and your teeth are made of toothpaste. They're melting. You scream, jump into the shower, and soap starts talking to you in French. You run out of the house, step on your laptop charger, and it wraps around your ankle like a snake. Now tell me, can you remember that list? Forever. Because your brain will forget normal. But it will never forget weird. This is called visual exaggeration. It's how memory athletes remember a list of 50 objects in 2 minutes. Not by repeating them, but by turning each one into a loud, colorful, emotional picture. Another example. Let's say you want to remember that pi in math is 3.14159. You can repeat it 100 times. Or, imagine this. A giant pie falls from the sky, crushes your house. The fireman comes and says, "That pie is exactly 3.14159 meters wide. We measured it. Now the number has a picture. It has emotion. It has a story. And you'll never forget it again." This is how the human brain evolved. Long before we had writing or books or internet, humans passed knowledge through stories and images. That's how history was remembered. That's how survival techniques were passed down. That's how children were taught. Your brain is ancient. It doesn't want lists. It wants legends. So the next time you struggle to remember something, don't just read it. Don't just write it. Turn it into an image. Make that image loud, colorful, strange, emotional, crazy. Because if you can see it, feel it, and laugh at it, you will never forget it. Chapter 5. Create a memory palace, like Sherlock Holmes. Now that you know the power of visuals and emotions, it's time to learn one of the most powerful memory techniques in human history. This technique is not new. It's over 2,000 years old. It's been used by ancient Greek philosophers, Roman orators, Buddhist monks, modern-day memory champions, and yes, even Sherlock Holmes, the fictional detective. It's called the memory palace, and once you understand it, you'll be able to remember speeches without notes, lists without paper, exam points without stress, concepts, ideas, frameworks, anything. So what is it? A memory palace is a place that exists in your imagination, but you fill it with the things you want to remember. Think of it like this. Your brain already remembers places, easily. You remember your house. You remember your school. You remember your favorite restaurant. You remember the layout of your friend's apartment. You remember your old childhood bedroom. That's because your brain loves space. It stores places better than it stores information. Step 1. Pick a familiar location. It could be your house, your college, your gym, your favorite cafe. Step 2. Visualize walking through that place, room by room, area by area. Step 3. Place the things you want to remember in different locations, using crazy, ridiculous visual images. Let me show you how. Imagine you have to give a speech about 5 points. 1. Importance of sleep. 2. Benefits of water. 3. Power of focus. 4. Role of gratitude. 5. Impact of nature. Now let's use your memory palace. Your house. Front door. You see a giant bed blocking your entrance. There's a person snoring so loudly the walls shake. That's sleep. Living room. You enter and everything is underwater. The sofa is floating. A fish offers you a glass of water. That's water. Kitchen. All the clocks in the kitchen are moving in slow motion. A man with laser eyes stares at a book. That's focus. Bathroom. You look in the mirror, and it turns into a slideshow of your happiest memories. That's gratitude. Backyard. Trees are dancing. Birds are giving high fives. Nature is alive. That's nature. Now, when you walk through your house in your mind, you recall all 5 points in perfect order without even trying. That is the power of the memory palace. It gives your brain a place to store ideas. Because your brain is not a filing cabinet. It's a museum of emotions and images. You just need to hang the right paintings in the right rooms, and you can use this method for shopping lists, study material, presentation outlines, personal goals, daily tasks, vocabulary words, Bible verses, historical dates, and more. Just remember these 3 rules. 1. Use a place you know well. 2. Make your images big, weird, and emotional. 3. Walk through it mentally, again and again. The more you use your memory palace, the bigger it grows. You can build multiple palaces for different topics. Some memory champions have over 50 palaces. Some use imaginary buildings, cities, even planets. But even one palace, your home, is enough to change your life. Because once you place something there with intention and emotion, you'll remember it for years. This is not fantasy. This is brain science. And this is just the beginning. Now let's move to the secret that changes everything about learning. Chapter 6. Use spaced repetition, not cramming. Have you ever studied all night for an exam? You read the textbook again and again. You underline, you highlight, you feel proud of your effort. But 2 days later, you can't remember anything. Why? Because your brain was never designed to learn everything in one go. That method, called cramming, is a lie. It gives the illusion of knowledge, but not real understanding. Here's the truth. If you want to remember something for a day, read it once. If you want to remember it for a week, read it twice. But if you want to remember something for life, you need to review it again and again, at the right time. That's called spaced repetition. It's one of the most powerful learning principles in the world. Used by medical students, language learners, memory champions, anyone who needs to retain large amounts of information. So, what is it? Spaced repetition means reviewing information after a delay. At the moment your brain is about to forget it. This struggle to recall strengthens your memory much more than reading again immediately. Let me show you the forgetting curve. Studies show that after 1 hour, people forget over 50% of what they learned. After 1 day, 70%. After 1 week, 90%. That's terrifying. But here's the good news. Every time you recall something at the right time, the memory becomes stronger. You train your brain like a muscle. Here's a simple plan you can follow. Day 1. Learn something new. Day 2. Review it. Active recall. Day 4. Review again. Day 7. Quick review. Day 14. Final recall. After that, it's locked in. You can use flashcards, you can use notes, or you can create your own review tracker. The method doesn't matter. The spacing does. Let me give you an example. Let's say you learn 10 vocabulary words in French. If you try to memorize all of them in 1 day and never review, you'll forget them in a week. But if you test yourself on day 2, then again on day 4, then again on day 7, and again in 2 weeks, they become permanent. Because every time you try to recall them, your brain says, "Oh, this must be important. Let me keep this longer." That's how you make learning last. Now imagine applying this to your school syllabus, your professional skills, your goals, your affirmations, your lessons from books. You would no longer just be a reader. You'd become a master. Because repetition builds memory, but spaced repetition builds permanent memory. It's like planting seeds, not dumping water. So here's your new rule. Never cram. Learn it once. Recall it smartly. Space it out. Remember it forever. Chapter 7. Use emotions and stories to remember faster. Here's something that might shock you. You don't remember facts. You don't remember logic. You remember feelings. You remember the moment you cried in public. You remember the time someone made you laugh uncontrollably. You remember how it felt to win, or to be betrayed, or to fall in love. You remember what your teacher said that day, not because it was important, but because it hurt. That's how memory works. Emotion is the language of the brain. When you tie something to an emotion, it becomes a permanent part of your memory. So here's the truth. If you want to remember more, if you want to store knowledge deeper, if you want to take something boring and make it unforgettable, you must add emotion and story. Let me show you how. Suppose you're learning a fact, like, the Great Fire of London happened in 1666. Most people will just read it and move on. But if you turn it into a story, imagine this. It's early morning in London, 1666. The sun hasn't risen yet. The city is asleep. And somewhere in a small bakery on Pudding Lane, a fire starts. It's small at first, but the wind is strong. Within hours, wooden houses are burning, families are screaming, buildings collapsing, flames lighting up the sky. The city turns red. The smoke reaches the clouds, and for 4 days London burns. Now, you'll never forget that date again. Not because you forced it, but because you felt it. You saw it. You imagined it. You were inside it. This is what your brain wants, because we are not designed to remember bullet points. We are designed to remember stories. That's why movies stay with us for years. That's why we remember fairy tales from childhood. That's why our ancestors passed down lessons through storytelling, not textbooks. So what do? Every time you learn something, ask yourself, can I turn this into a story? Can I give it a beginning, middle, and end? Can I add a character, a moment of emotion? Let's take another example. Say you're learning about the water cycle, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Most people just try to memorize it. But what if you said, there was a tiny drop of water named Wally. One day, the sun kissed him and turned him into vapor. He floated up into the sky. He got cold, turned into a cloud. Suddenly, he got heavy. He fell down as rain and landed back in the river where he began. Wally the water drop. Now it's a story. Now it's sticky. Now you remember. You can do this for anything. A formula in physics, a marketing principle, a historical event, a company strategy, a life lesson. Turn it into a story, because when you feel it, you'll never forget it. So here's your new rule. Whenever you want to remember something, give it a character. Add emotion. Tell it like a story. If you do that, even the most boring facts will become unforgettable. Now, what if I told you that the fastest way to remember something isn't even studying? It's something far more powerful. Chapter 8. Teach to Remember, the Feynman Technique. This chapter will change your life. Because here's one of the greatest secrets of learning. If you can teach it, you understand it. If you can't explain it in simple words, you never really learned it. This is called the Feynman Technique, named after the legendary physicist Richard Feynman, who was known not only for his brilliance, but for his ability to explain complicated science in a way that even children could understand. So, how does it work? Here's the 4-step process. Step 1. Learn something. Maybe it's a concept from a book, a method from your job, a lesson from a course, or even something you saw in this video. Step 2. Pretend you're teaching it to a child, not a college student, not a professor, a child. Because if you can teach it in a way a child understands, that means you actually get it. Step 3. Identify the gaps. While teaching, you'll notice you're missing a word. You don't understand a connection. You skipped a step. This is the truth showing itself. Step 4. Go back and learn again. Then simplify. Now teach it again, this time with clarity. The more you repeat this, the stronger the memory becomes. Let me show you an example. Let's say you just learned about the concept of compound interest. You could say, compound interest is the interest you earn on both the money you save and the interest you've already earned. Now pretend you're teaching a 10-year-old. You say, imagine you have a jar. You put $100 in it. After 1 year, you get $10 extra. Now you have $110. Next year, you earn interest not just on the $100, but on the $110. So you get even more. And it keeps growing faster and faster. Now the concept is real. It's alive. And most importantly, it's unforgettable. Because when you teach someone else, you activate every part of your memory: recall, emotion, visualization, structure, language, confidence. You're no longer just a student, you're a messenger. And here's a powerful truth. The best learners are not the ones who know the most. They're the ones who share the most. If you want to learn faster, teach more. Teach your friends. Teach your siblings. Teach your invisible audience. Teach your mirror. Teach your journal. Teach your phone camera. You don't need permission. You just need purpose. Every time you explain something in your own words, your brain rewires itself to remember it. So here's your new rule. Don't just study. Teach. Don't just read. Explain. Don't just watch. Turn around and deliver it. That's how you go from forgettable to unforgettable. That's how knowledge becomes part of you. Chapter 9. Improve brain power daily. Nutrition, sleep, and focus. You can use every memory technique in the world. But if your brain is exhausted, if your body is falling apart, if your environment is full of distractions, even the best tricks will fail. Because memory is not just a mental game. It's a biological game, a physical game, a lifestyle game. And this is the part most people ignore. They try to remember more, but they don't sleep. They try to focus, but they scroll Instagram for 6 hours. They try to think clearly, but they eat processed junk every day. It doesn't work. You cannot ask your brain to perform like a champion if you treat it like a trash bin. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about 3 things that supercharge your memory every single day. Sleep, nutrition, focus. Let's start with the first, sleep. The memory factory. You may think sleep is rest, but for your brain, sleep is construction time. It's when your brain builds roads between neurons. It's when short-term memories move into long-term storage. It's when ideas become understanding. If you study for 3 hours, but sleep only 4 hours, you're wasting your effort. Because without sleep, your brain doesn't remember. You may feel awake, you may be pushing through, but inside your memory is failing. You need deep sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours. And ideally, at the same time every night. Great memory begins with a great night. Now let's talk about fuel. Nutrition. Brain food. Your brain is not made of magic. It's made of cells, chemicals, and electricity. And all of that depends on what you put in your body. If your meals are full of sugar, heavy oils, processed snacks, and caffeine overload, your memory will suffer. If you want a sharper memory, eat like your brain matters. Here are a few memory-boosting foods backed by science. Walnuts, shaped like a brain for a reason. Blueberries, full of antioxidants. Fatty fish, omega-3 boosts brain health. Eggs contain choline for memory support. Leafy greens help slow cognitive decline. Green tea improves alertness and memory. Also, drink water. Dehydration causes brain fog, and brain fog is memory's enemy. You don't need a perfect diet. Just eat something that feeds your brain every day. Now the third piece, focus, the gate to memory. If you're distracted, nothing enters your memory. If you're half focused, half present, half thinking, your brain is not encoding anything. Multitasking is a lie. No one remembers deeply when they're switching every 10 seconds. So here's what to do. Use the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of focused work, 5-minute break. Use noise-canceling headphones. Put your phone in another room. Turn off notifications. Study with intention, not habit. If you can give your brain just 1 hour of deep focus a day, that's more than 90% of people on Earth. Your brain is capable of incredible things, but only if you respect it, feed it, rest it, train it. Because memory is not just a skill, it's a lifestyle. Chapter 10. Remember for life, not just for the test. Let's step back for a moment. You've now learned some of the most powerful memory techniques in the world. Active recall, spaced repetition, the memory palace, visual exaggeration, the 3-2-1 method, Feynman technique, emotional storytelling, and daily brain habits. But now comes the most important lesson of all. Why are you trying to remember in the first place? Because most people are not failing because of bad memory. They are failing because of bad motivation. They study only for exams. They memorize only to pass. They learn only to impress. And so the brain doesn't care. The brain forgets. But if you learn for a purpose, if you remember because it matters to you, if you connect knowledge to your identity, your dreams, your goals, your mission, your brain pays attention. That's the final key to unforgettable memory. Purpose. You don't remember your mother's voice because you wrote it down. You remember it because it means something to you. You don't remember the first time you were betrayed because you studied it. You remember it because it changed you. So ask yourself this: why do you want to remember? Is it to build your future? Is it to speak better? To master your craft? To grow your career? To share your knowledge with the world? Give your brain a reason to care. Because memory is not about tricks. It's about meaning. And if something has meaning, your brain will protect it forever. So from today onwards, don't just try to memorize. Try to feel it, connect it, live it, teach it, use it. Because the memory you use is the memory you keep. And when you live like this, when you make every lesson part of your life, you no longer forget. You transform. This is the end of the video. But it's the beginning of a new life. One where you are no longer forgetful, no longer confused, no longer overwhelmed. You are now someone who knows how to remember everything. Not perfectly, but permanently. Because now you don't just use your brain, you train it. And from this day forward, you never forget who you're becoming.